Hey, peace, everyone. Welcome back to Baddest Chaplain. Hoping all is well with you and yours. I'm here today with Dan Perlman, brilliant comedian, brilliant writer. So happy to have you here, Dan. What's going on with you, man?
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. How do you think of yourself primarily? Because you wear so many hats. Are you thinking and moving through the world as a comedian first, a writer, or a storyteller? Like, how are you defining yourself?
I think I'm a comedian and a writer. I think those two things. I think the first thing that comes to mind is comedian, just because that's how I started. That's what all the other stuff came out of doing that. Do you know what I mean? And
Of
so
course.
even if maybe like I'm not sure that stand up would be like right now, it kind of oscillates, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite of all those things. But I do
Sure.
identify as a comedian, a
Yeah,
comedian who
yeah.
writes, a comedian who directs, a comedian who, because of doing comedy, I could act passably enough that they have let me star in. So,
Yeah.
that is kind of the vehicle that got me there. So that at heart, that's what I am.
I hear that. I hear that. Yeah, so at the core, it's there for you for sure, man. Like, what was it that first drew you to comedy? Like, when did you know? Because I often think of it as that distinction of, especially like when we're all in school, and you always have like the kid who's funny, but not every kid who's funny ends up becoming a comedian. Like, when did you realize, like, oh, I could do this for real?
When did I realize I could do it for real? I don't know. I'm trying to think of a moment when I was like, I think it was a thing that I'd wanted to do for so long. From when I was a
Uh huh.
kid, I wanted to do comedy from like hearing stand up and listening to like the most famous comics when I'm like in middle school and wanting to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it,
yeah.
but not being the class clown. I was not the loud one. I wasn't the
Got you.
kid who
Got you.
I wasn't the kid who stood up and shouted a joke to everybody. I was the kid who whispered a joke to one person, and then if they laughed, I
Right.
would whisper it to somebody else, and then
Exactly.
like so I think it was a long time of kind of working up the courage for it. And then once I went to school in Chicago, so I grew up in New York, and then when I went to school in Chicago, that kind of I felt permission to like to go and try it. You know what I mean? Because it's like
Mm-hmm.
college, you kind of have time to like reinvent yourself and try new and all of that. And so I felt kind of comfortable. I felt comfortable going and failing and being bad in anonymity. You know what I mean? Because
That's
it's a
real.
place. So like there's something, when people like start and sometimes you see people like, they're new, or they're doing a bar show or a bringer show or whatever, and they bring all their family and friends. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
For real.
I would never, not in a
That's not
million
you.
years. I didn't want anybody I knew for a good amount of time there. You
It's
know what I mean?
real.
Like, I
Right.
wanted, because it's a thing you care about and it's a thing that you like want to be good at. You care about
Right.
the thing and you care about being good. And so you want to work at it and you want to like get it to a place where it's not like the novelty of like get a photo of me so I can post on Instagram of me holding a microphone or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I
Right.
want this to be a thing. And so I think it just became easier the more you do it and the more you're bad at it, or the more you get used to it and the more you just chip away like anything else. You get a little less bad every time. And
That's real
I
when
think it was seeing that process and building up that muscle and the
mm,
consistency of it where I'm
mhm,
like, okay, I can do this because I
yeah,
this is a process I can commit to and I enjoy it and I don't care. I'm okay with how tough it is. I'm okay with the fact that it doesn't go well sometimes. Like all of
right.
that is fine. And so once you're okay with that, I think that's the moment of like, oh, okay, I can do this because you're there at the worst. The worst is the beginning. And so if you're good with that, like then it's just the stamina, which is not a small thing, but that's what it is, you
Yeah,
know?
that's surreal. Now, I love, like, when you're talking about, not inviting friends and family, because 'cause I've been that friend going to support another friend doing comedy,
Sure, sure.
and they're great, but it's like the folks who are there, and it's like, yo, at the beginning, this is kinda sad, like, it's hard to laugh
It
at the
is.
beginning because people it's like I'm like, "This is therapy for you, this ain't really like you're not telling jokes, we're the Sykes right now," you know what I'm saying?
Right, 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 right. Yeah, this is a thing that you need to work through, and we're all
Right.
here. We're all here so you don't off yourself. Yeah, yeah. So it
Basically,
does.
we're
So it's
your
like,
system to
okay,
support.
yeah, great work, man. It's all
I
okay.
gotta clap.
It's
I gotta
all
clap,
okay,
exactly.
and yeah, and it's good you're out of that relationship, and just you'll regret
1,000%.
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
You deserve better, you know what I mean?
Mhm, mhm.
So when you sit down to write, whether you're thinking about this is going to be a stand-up bit or a whole project, what does your process look like? Like what are the things that you need in order to be able to say, okay, I'm inspired? Is it more like spontaneous? You're just observing life. You're like, oh, I got to go right now. Like, what's your process?
I'm pretty, I'm pretty disciplined with I like my routine, you know?
Hmm.
And I've developed this over time, but I like, and this wasn't always the case. You kinda try and figure it out, you know, like well, basically, if I'm writing like a script or a bigger project or
Hmm.
something, like I have my routine where it's like wake up, I do what I have to do, shower, I make my espresso, I have my espresso
Yeah,
machine, like I
let's
need
go.
that. I like a big, desk that I'm at now where I can like
Hmm.
sprawl my papers out and have my laptop. And then from like 10:30 to 2 ish, like I try to be productive with the work that I have to do, whether it's like I'm trying to fix this script, I need to turn around these notes
Hmm.
and revise this thing and send it back to somebody. I need to
Right.
write this thing and submit it to whatever. Like you always have these like tasks.
Hmm.
I'm big with to-do lists. I really like to-do lists, and I like having to-do lists. A big thing that was helpful for me early on that I still do is I don't like to-do lists on the day of, because I think when
I'm
you
on.
wake up and you are like, "What should I work on today?" The day's over. And so
Yeah,
I think it's
agreed.
good to wake up knowing, because so much of this creative is like giving structure yourself, and so it's like, how do you impose that? And just in the same way that the CEOs, they have their outfit laid out so they can like just have one less decision to make. I think
That's
it's the
right.
same. If you have one less decision to make for to work on, like that makes it easier to get going.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So your process is basically your Steve Jobs turtleneck. Like that's what keeps you locked into what you need to do.
Yeah, well, I like morning. I do better in the morning than later in the
Huh?
day when I have like energy and stuff because I like waking up and being a person. And then, because then by two, even if I get nothing done after that, I've gotten
Yeah.
stuff done already. You know what I
Substantial
mean?
stuff.
So, like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it's like and some people, it's like, oh, they're like, I get really inspired at night and da da da.
Right.
That's not me. Then there might be little bursts or whatever. I
Uh-huh.
will write. Sometimes, like I have a Substack. Sometimes that's one that, because it's kind of free writey, so that I'll kind of do that
Exactly.
there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but the more like scripts, like structure, all that stuff, I just
Mhm.
do better with that in the morning. Stand up is hard. That's like impossible no matter what time of day. I mean, that one
Yeah.
is more like, because that one it's like it's impossible to like write out.
Mhm.
I mean, you can, but like, well, what I realized early on with stand up is like, that I think most comics realize early on is like, when you get up and have it written word for word, it's going to sound super book reporty, and
I
like
imagine.
you can hear the Microsoft Word. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like
sure.
you can hear where they clicked enter and thought there'd be a laugh or whatever, and it's
Right.
like what you got to figure out is like, okay, how do I know what I'm going to say, but also still make it feel alive and present, and like
Yeah.
make eye contact with people and connect. And in the same way, like an artist, you hear an artist, like you look up how they sing the song in concert, and the
Mm,
same song they sing 10 different ways. You know what I mean? It's
for
like
real.
finding those different ways to say the joke that keep you
Yeah.
active and
Right.
engaged and present and maybe reflective with where your mood is or the energy in the room. It's like all these
Mhm.
little nuances that and still
Yeah,
constantly.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, sure.
like anything, you make the same mistakes hundreds of times, but you get better each time,
Yeah,
hopefully.
that makes
Even
sense.
if the end result of each show isn't better.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. I've said this with other, like, comedian friends of mine because in my previous life, I was a full-time school teacher, and now I'm a minister, and I think about, like, comedians, like, preachers, teachers all
Yeah.
kinda work in the same corner,
Yeah,
different
yeah.
corners on the same block, and everything that you're saying just really, like, translates in the sense of, I can't go before a congregation and just, like, read it out word for word,
Right,
like, it would
right.
or, like, hold for applause in parentheses here, like, that wouldn't make any sense, but just really understand it's a dynamic, it's a dance you have with the group of people that you're speaking to, you know?
And I'm fascinated by preachers, by you guys, because 'cause you're so good at that. I had a friend who I think he, left. I don't think he's a preacher anymore, but I was walking in Fort Greene and I passed
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Lafayette Presbyterian Church, and
Yeah, yeah.
it was like, please welcome our new pastor. And it was a dude I went to high school with and
What?
who's from Flatbush originally. And so I
Uh-huh.
messaged him and I was like, yo,
Yeah.
you got a church? Like what the,
Right, right,
and
right.
then, I went and saw a sermon he did. And yeah, it was fascinating for all that same, the public speaking and engaging with people and making them feel connected and all of that. It's interesting to me how people can do that and people's different speaking styles and ability to like draw people in, I think is really interesting and also so important with like, no matter what, whether you're doing comedy, whether you're addressing audiences or we're always addressing an audience. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's we're
Absolutely.
pitching
Absolutely.
something and you're trying to get money or whatever, or you're like working with somebody new. Like it's all like, how do you connect with the person, you know?
No
So
doubt
it's
about it.
super interesting how people do that in different ways, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Teaching all the more so, you know, like because
Come on.
I've done that as well. And that's like,
Right.
how do you reach these restless kids who we remember being a kid? That's the last place you wanted to be when you were a kid.
Right.
So how do you go in with that awareness and not delusional? Because you're like, when did I fall asleep? When they were just reciting the information. And I'm
Exactly.
like, I don't care. You know what I mean? But it's like
No,
when you just
of course.
talk to them and I'm like, I see you. It's okay.
Right.
I see you.
Yes.
Let's make this like alive in some way, you know?
Right.
And aware they still want to get the fun out of there, but how do you make it
Absolutely.
enjoyable, you know?
Right, right, right. Making that a complete just like melting of their souls in the
Right.
process, Exactly. So when you're doing your work, because thinking about like Flatbush misdemeanors, which I want to talk about later, but just your style of humor also comes with depth. So how are you balancing that? You don't shy away from topics that are raw, uncomfortable, personal. How do you sort of like understand? Okay, I'm gonna get really real, but I'm also gonna make it funny. How you work that out?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's conscious on some level. I don't know. You do just kind of feel it out, and it's like the rhythm of the thing. And this is where I do feel like when you ask how I identify myself, like I'm a comedian because like if I'm writing a script or something, or if I'm
Mm,
doing a bit or something, and you're hitting something that is like real or sincere, which I like. I really like that stuff. That's like this is a real anecdote, or this is a micro character
mhm.
thing, or this is like it just in conversation, this is what I would be doing. I'd be breaking shit down and you're thinking
Right.
about the psychology behind stuff. But then also what makes you comic is like what makes that thing funny, you know?
Mhm.
And anyway, you feel in you feel in the rhythm of the scene, like, okay, this needs a joke here. And some of that
Got you,
is like
got you, got you, got
feeling
you.
like, okay, I'm getting a little, this is getting a little self serious or whatever. You know what I
Sure,
mean?
sure,
You don't
sure.
want it to drift into didactic. You don't want it to be
Yeah.
lectury
Right,
because
right,
to
right.
me, that's when I'm like, and I could go on a whole thing about that, but about like the writing I like the most is when I feel like you're hitting these serious topics, but you're not beating it, shoving it down somebody's throat. Like
Yeah, yeah.
you're letting them think about the thing and pull and extract what they want, and you haven't made the decision for the audience. That's
Right,
what
right.
turns me off when I feel like they've decided in a show, movie, whatever. The
Mhm.
writer has decided who's right, who's wrong, whatever. You know what I mean?
Right, of course,
That's
of
a thing that
course.
I'm kind of like, I don't know. Especially when you're dealing with other characters, it's like everybody thinks they're right. You know what I mean? Like everybody
Mhm.
has a point of view they're coming from. Everybody's the protagonist. So how do you like flesh that out in a way that to me that's interesting, you know? And so
Absolutely.
anyway, so it's fun to balance all those like how do you hit these macro social issues but in a like a grounded comedic way. And so the thing that I like to do generally is I start with a small funny thing and then
Mm,
I zoom out behind it, so it's like the little kernel first and then you zoom out and you see like what's the depth behind that, how do you dig
right.
deeper into that, you know what I mean?
That
And
makes
that
sense, that
works
makes
much
sense.
better for me than like, I want to talk about mental health, or I want to talk about divorce, or I want to talk about drug addiction or whatever. Cause
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
I don't know. The theme forward thing is a little, I
Got
can't
you.
quite
It
do
becomes like an
that.
after school special.
Yeah. It feels like, I've said this, but it feels like the reverse of like, it feels like, how like a science experiment, they said, you have a hypothesis and you test
Right.
it. And and you could think you know what is going to happen, but maybe you don't. And
Right.
maybe it's that,
Mhm.
and maybe it's not. And so to me,
Yeah, yeah.
that's how I always like to think about it. It should be that. You know what I
For
mean?
sure,
Like
for sure.
you think you have an idea, like, oh, maybe I reacted this way because of XYZ. And then you dig and you're like, oh, wait, I think maybe it's this other thing, you know?
Yeah, your hypothesis change.
Right. You don't want it to feel prescriptive. You don't want it to feel
Yeah, I get
prescriptive.
you.
You want to like be in the thing.
That makes sense. That makes sense for sure. So thinking a bit about when going back to stand up for a second, like when you are performing, how has that shaped your sense of like understanding who you are as a performer? Because I mentioned before you're talking about really enjoying the writing process and you're like, I guess they let me act and things of that nature. But when you're up there and you're like engaging with the crowd, how has that shaped your understanding of what you need to do as a performer?
Think I mean the big thing is the confidence you get from doing it. And it's kind of fun for me, like in stand up to like so when you start out, it's brutal. You're going up at open,
Yeah.
especially in New York.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're going up at open mics in other cities, Chicago, wherever, there might be
Hmm.
an audience. Open mics in New York City, you're only going up for other comedians. Those are the
Yeah.
only people who are there because there's so much entertainment in New York. Nobody is choosing to go to an open mic, nor should they. And
Nor should they.
so it's kind of like, okay, you're going up for people who are inherently not interested. Some of them are
Yeah.
brutal environments.
Yes.
There's great comics who you meet there, and then there's the most mentally ill people you've ever seen in your life, who you'll see in the New York Post years later with some crime whenever they get them or whatever. It's like whatever. Um, but anyway, so you get used to the silence, and then it became a fun thing of like, okay, how do you not panic? You know,
Yeah.
how do you stay in it? And it's kind of fun for me on stage if I'm drawing something out. I have bits where I might draw something out, and I like to let it dangle for a moment and play with the tension in the room and play with the silence, and then hit them. I know where it's going, but it's
Right.
fun. It's fun for me to have a second where I'm almost trying to make them think I don't know where it's going.
Come
Like
on.
that's really fun for me
Yeah.
because then again, it's like how do I keep them active and engaged? And there are performers who I love who are able to run around and hop on the stage and turn the stool upside down or whatever. And
Right,
like,
right, right, right.
great for them. Like, great for them. I love it. I love watching it. That ain't me.
Right, right, right.
So then it's like, okay, well, how do you still keep people pulled in to what you're
Mhm,
doing? And so for
mhm.
me, that was one way I found, and that when that works, that like gives you a lot of confidence in your voice because it's like, okay, I can just stay with this, and I know this lands, and so
Yeah.
I can have fun with the journey of it and keep them right there. And then once they see that it hits, it's fun to earn their trust a little bit with
Come
each
on,
thing
right.
because you're just like, okay, you see, I know what I'm doing. It's okay.
Mhm.
And then that makes them relax, you know?
Of course.
Yeah.
I love that you use the whole language of, like, relaxing because there is such a sometimes unspoken, but when it gets bad, it becomes very loudly spoken tension of,
Yeah.
like, "Is this going to be good or not?"
Right.
And I've had that experience just even like at home watching a Netflix special. It could be a comedian that I really like, and I find myself almost like in the same way I was cheering for the Knicks when they were bad. Like I'm pulling for you to make
Right.
this turn around. I got 10 minutes left in the special, but I need this to be funny. And so I totally hear that sense of like when I am enjoying good comedy, I do relax. Not only because
Right.
laughing is good for you, but it's also like, oh, thank God I didn't waste my time. You know what I mean?
Right. I can enjoy this. I can just be along for the ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
think
yeah.
that's where it's like, I think especially now, you know what I mean? I think there's stuff that like I don't know. I think there's a lot of stuff that is maybe trying to be that's why I'm saying like I like the stuff that hits issues, but in a way that is not too serious because I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like there's a lot of serious everything's
Mhm.
sad and bad. You know what I mean? And so it's
Yeah.
like and so it's still good to be like aware of that, but how do you package it in a way that it's like this is still fun? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's still letting people relax and it doesn't have to erase everything that's happening, but still like let's Flintstones vitamin this stuff, you know? Like
Flintstone
we
Fireman.
all we all worked, we're all tired, we all want to just
Right.
enjoy this thing. Whether you're at home, you just want to be on the couch, enjoy it, and just be high and laugh at a thing, or you want to have a drink at an event and just watch this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we don't
Yeah, yeah,
want
yeah.
I think some comics are so dark and tortured all throughout the day that then they get on stage and need to
Right.
torture the audience, and I'm like,
That's the thing.
man, they're here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's a
yeah.
big pet peeve of mine is when a comedian will sometimes like grumble at the crowd for
Boom.
not being a big laughing as much as the comedian thinks they should laugh.
That's
Because I think
painful.
that's some preemptive and feel free to stop me if I'm getting off topic, but like
You're good.
a very common thing you'll see comics do is we know the biggest laugh that each joke has gotten. You know what I mean?
Right, right, of
And so
course.
and so if that doesn't happen, like I'm conscious of that, but the audience sometimes isn't. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Right.
if it's not a palpable like Def Jam booing you off the stage thing,
Right,
sometimes
right.
it's just like, all right, they're just whatever. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
But then
didn't
the
land.
comic will be like, oh, you guys hate me. And you see the
Yeah.
audience go like, oh, I guess we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's like you're like, you're telling them how to feel when it's like, yo, this was fine before. You know what I mean? Or it's
yeah,
like,
you're the one messing it up.
right. It's like, oh, there's only 12 of you here or whatever. Like, and I'm like, yeah, but they're here. You know what I
They
mean? They want this to be fun. They
of
are the
course.
people who are like, want this to be something because they just couldn't bear to sit with each other on the couch for another night.
Come on.
So let's bring them something, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, you can't punish the people who are there for those who aren't there. That's never made sense to me. I've always hated.
For sure. And I get it comes out of insecurity and, you know,
Right.
performers, they're all insecure on some level, but it's like,
Absolutely.
you got to keep it to the green room, keep
Yeah,
it
yeah,
internal,
exactly,
you know?
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yell at them in the back room.
Right,
Exactly.
right, right.
So now I got to talk about Flatbush Misdemeanors. I've never said this to you before. Such an incredible show. I would tell you personally,
Thanks, man.
I started watching it when I took a job in Virginia that made me move from New York. So it was a way for me to deal with like homesickness. I was like, oh, Flatbush, yes, this is gonna be great. So thank you for
That's
the
real
show.
that's really nice.
Of course, man, of course. So take us back to the origins, man. Like, what sparked the ideas? Like, we know Brooklyn's not a real place. We know that it's a movie every single day, but what allowed you to say, you know what, this needs to be a show for real?
That's a good way of putting it. Well, we were making some like a little like sketches, shorts that were like half were set in the business y world and
Mm,
half were set in what became Flatbush. And they were both fun, but it felt like there were a good amount of the businessy stuff at the time, The Office, you know, like all those kinds of like
right.
corporate satires, and this felt like a little, I don't know, a little more like unexplored, a little more like exciting, and then kind of, I mean, it's just started as these little shorts where like Kareem Green, who plays my
Yes.
stepdad in the show, great comedian,
Hilarious.
we did a thing with him and he was so funny yelling at me that I was like, well, he should be my stepdad. And
Right.
so wrote it as a pilot. It was like a 35-page script. Showed it to I'd sold one pilot before. I'd sold like an animated pilot that it was about a city bus driver. It was called That's My Bus.
Okay.
And I sold it to Fox, developed it, didn't go to series, but I was able to learn all the steps of development and
Right.
working with a network and all that stuff. And so then wrote Flatbush, showed it to people, and they're like, I don't really know what this is. I don't really see it. I can't really
Mm.
envision it. And so then it was kind of like, okay, well, let's just make it and then they can see it. So then cut anything that would be budget, just had 15 pages of scraps, shot it piecemeal, borrowed a friend's camera, bribed a janitor to let us into a school one day, you know, like
That's awesome.
uh told the janitor that yes, your 10-year-old white kid can be in the scene as you demand, and then
Yes,
cropped him out, you know, like
that's
whatever.
hilarious.
You know, just the beg, borrow, steal to get the thing made. And
No doubt.
then it was like a 15-minute short. Technically, it was a mess. No, like
Mm.
bad sound, shot it on 3 different cameras, like couldn't color it, couldn't mix it.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
had jokes and it had the feel and it
Right.
had the like vibe of it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so threw it online, nobody saw it, nobody cared. But then it found life on the film festival circuit because
Okay.
it would play in these narrative shorts blocks, which if
Mm,
you've ever
mhm.
been to a film festival, like the narrative shorts, they're all so sad. Like it's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
people like it's all like NYU, USC kids trying to make features. And so
Got
it'll be
you.
like a baby dies or somebody gets
Got you.
deported or a burn victim or like it's like tragedy, tragedy, tragedy. And
Yeah.
so Flatbush would like it would crush. It would always it wouldn't always win, but it would
Yeah,
do the best in the room because it was
right.
just levity. It was something else.
Exactly.
And the jokes and the like positive energy of it offset the technical deficiencies of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it had a nice festival run. And so had like 3 15-minute shorts. The first one is the one that had the run. And so 3 15-minute shorts. And then got some momentum from that. One production company made an offer for it. And then once one makes an offer, then three more pop up and have this fear of missing out. And so then they're like, no, we want it. Nobody
Yeah,
wants to be
yeah.
the first person that says something is good. They want to
Right,
be
right.
the 10th,
3rd.
20th, you know? So started working with one and then developed it for networks and then pitched it to networks. Pitched to like 6 places. I think we had like 4 offers from the 6 we pitched to. But Showtime was the best, and they just got it. They understood what it was. The shorts gave them a sense of the tone and stuff,
Got you.
and then developed it for there, and then yeah, got it straight to series order on it. So that was kind of the arc of how we had to write two scripts for them, like the first and second episode. So the first episode was kind of like very similar to what the first web series episode was, and then the
Yeah, yeah.
second episode was very similar to what the third one was, but more fleshed out, like more depth, all that stuff. And yeah, that was kind of a 3 or 4 year long thing. I just condensed down
Wow.
to a minute, but yeah, I mean, it takes a while, man. Yeah,
It was a journey for real.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Got you, got you.
But in a way that once you're going, you're like, okay, I'm ready to go because I've honed this 100 times over, and
Right.
you know what you want to do, and all the trying and failing and all of that stuff. Like, I think the filming stuff independently, like,
Mhm.
is so helpful because then it lets you the more constraints you have to work with, the better it makes you because you
Got
just
you.
have to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so then when we're making the Showtime show, like the studio is like freaking out that we don't have a lot of money compared to
Right.
other shows. But I'm like,
Right.
I was just bribing a janitor. You know what I
That's
mean?
right,
Like,
that's right.
I've never been in a place that we're allowed to be in other than my
Exactly.
apartment. Like,
Right,
so
right.
when you have that experience, it does make you calmer under pressure. It makes you,
Absolutely.
which is so helped in filming, like creating that's everything is just like, because it's limited time, limited resources. You need to be able to be like, all right, we'll figure this out.
Right. You're making me think about, like, that it's a matter of perspective, like, where, like, the Showtime folks are like, "This is not enough." You're like, "This is more than I've ever had to work with." Like
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And especially like, you know, I worked with some people who came out of like these peak TV where
Oh
you just
my
got
gosh, right.
thrown tens of
Yes.
millions of dollars or
Yes.
whatever to make 24 episode seasons, and
Right, right,
every
right.
staff writer owns a boat. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like all this
yes.
crazy that is not
That's
reality
gone.
anymore.
It's gone,
Long
right.
gone. So then it's like, I'm like, no, this is okay, man. This is
Yeah.
really okay.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll be fine. Right, right.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So, you worked with such brilliant actors, hilarious comedians on this show. What was that dynamic like, and just like the partnership and collaboration within and behind the show? Just like bringing in all these different artistic geniuses to work with you. Like as you reflect on it, looking back, like what was that experience like for you?
It was awesome. I mean, I love comedians. I've joked like, there, there's a few things working with comedians. They might not know their lines. They might not have looked at the script.
Right.
They're not going to know what they're doing and why they're there. But the thing with comedians is they know who they are. They have
Yeah.
their voice so honed, like, because you have to. And so if you make them comfortable and put them at ease, they make
Yeah.
every single scene better. And that's what, like, Yamanika Saunders, who played my therapist on the show, who
Yes.
yells at me,
Yes.
she's incredible. So it's
So
like,
funny.
a Kareem Green, who played my stepdad. Like, we had Maria Bamford, who played my mom, Roy Wood Jr.,
Hmm.
who played the principal. Like, these are some
That
of the
scene.
best comics. Like, and
Yes.
so just putting them there and letting them go, and they're great performers. So they just like bring it to life in such a cool, like exciting way. And then also to get to work with some like really, really good, I mean, Hassan Johnson is like,
Come on. Brilliant.
he's like a
Brilliant.
legend. And
Yes.
I didn't know how funny he was. He's like, I knew he's a great actor,
So
but he's
funny.
so funny. And he's so and I've said this to him, like a comedian, so in control of his voice. Like he can say, I would joke with him. I was like, he could say, drink that healthy soda or I'm going to kill you in the
Oh,
exact same inflection. And they're
yeah.
both real. They're both funny. Like,
Right.
and he's so likable. He's so likable that we would do scenes where he's trying to beat up my guy and I'm rooting for
Right.
him. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no,
I'm
for
like,
sure, for
yeah,
sure.
kill him, because he's just like, and that's such a unique ability. And that just speaks to his, like, his precision as an
Mhm.
actor that feels so effortless. Like it
Yeah.
feels so effortless that I could say to Hassan, like, "Hey, this next take, could you try like this, and this?" And he's like, "Got it." And just
Yeah.
like so, he's just able to dial in.
Yes.
So it's really in his pinky. It's incredible to watch. Like he's so good. And Zoe Winters was another one who was incredible. She was on Succession. She played Logan's assistant on Succession.
That's right, that's right.
She's running the arts fellowship like in the show, and it was cool seeing how they work. Like so Zoe is coming from a school like unlike Hassan, who's probably never done this in his life. Like Zoe wrote like a 40-page like character breakdown of this part that I couldn't write one page on. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
but she just prepped. And you
Oh,
see
wow.
that in the results. She would come in with alts. She would come in with like this backstory and energy that she could then riff and like bring such life to this character that was like, frankly, underwritten. And so
Come on.
she was able to bring that. And I mean, that's a big thing. And it's like, and the other thing I like took away that was like the biggest thing is like beyond just like the cast is like, the writers, bringing their experience into the room when we're like breaking story, but also like the crew. And that was something that was awesome to get that experience with is
Mhm.
like you have like production designers and props and like people who are like able to like it's called breaking down the script. When you
Yeah,
read the
yeah.
script and break it down to think like, okay, it's not just about like what's a cool outfit for them to wear, but like what would they do? Where is their mindset right now? Like what kind of mode are they in? Like what would their apartment be like that reflects this character in an active way? And working with all and so if you find people who are funny, who are good at their job and funny, like
Right.
that's incredible. And it makes your writing better because now you're writing when you've seen it all come to life, it makes that specificity in your writing. You're thinking about it with so much more dimensions to it.
For sure.
And that's so fun. And then, so I'm super grateful for that experience,
Absolute.
because I think it just makes you better in every way going forward.
No question. No question. When you look back, and you think about Flatbush misdemeanors, like, what are you most proud of, and what do you wish more people understood about that show?
I mean, I'm really just really proud of, it just started as a zero budget thing that
Mhm.
nobody wanted to read the pilot of. And then is like a strapped together digital thing that nobody watched. And sort of I think the big thing that I am proud of is like it's fun to prove to myself um over and over and over because we always have to do this. Like if you follow through with trust your instincts and follow through with that stuff, like you can bring that to a place. And it's not about we're in a time when it's like if it doesn't immediately go viral, somebody deletes the thing. Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
right, right, for
But
real.
they let the immediate feedback like scare them off what they think.
Yes.
When the best, I believe, you hone it and you figure it out, and maybe there's some failure within it, but you don't abandon the kernel just because somebody said no right away. Like, if anything, that forces you to dig and figure out, no, what is interesting to you about it and what you have to prove it, like we're talking about, like you have to prove it. And so to turn that into 2 seasons of a Showtime series that people really loved, like, yeah, I'm really proud of that, and I'm really proud
Mhm.
of the people I worked with who made it a good experience, and the people who I would work with again on anything. And
Awesome.
and as far as what I wish more people understood, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know. The people who've seen the show, it has a little like cult following. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right.
It's
I can
not.
see that.
It wasn't. It's not Abbott or Young Sheldon or something. You know what I
Right, right,
mean?
young
But
Sheldon,
like,
right.
but it has its fans. People are so positive about it that it's really nice to whenever people reach out. And so I guess I wish I don't know. I just hope more people continue to find it. I mean, people DM me every day because it's off US streamers right now. People
Right,
DM me every day. How do I watch it? And I send people the episodes every day. I send them
man.
every single day. I send them the episodes because
There it is.
I just want them to see it. I want them to be able to find it, and I want them to be able to find the next things too. And so, just like I'm fine making that connection with every person. And so that's the thing. Yeah, I guess just like the work that goes into each little piece of it, you know, I'm fine if people don't understand it, but I'm just like, it really does. And so you just want to share it. You want people to find it, and I want you to be able to enjoy this thing at home. And then
Absolutely.
if you look more carefully, I want you to see these little nuances. But you can lean forward and pick up all this, or you can sit back. However you want to
Either
sit,
way,
I want you to be able to enjoy it. Yeah.
here for it. Here for it for sure. Because I do think people do need an escape, and not everyone's in for like the like deep think, and I'm gonna write an essay as soon as I finish watching this episode. Like not everybody's
Right.
gonna be like that. Here
Right,
for
but
it.
it's like but you give a little for each, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what's so fun about that show is, like, you can watch it and see, like, I'm putting little, like, chapter titles here
Mhm.
that y if you wanna look into the meaning and be one of the 2 people to DM me
That's
catching
right.
it, you're welcome to. And if you wanna just sit back and be like, "Kareem's funny," I'm like, "Great, he is funny." Like,
That's right.
whatever. It's all fun, you know? Like,
Absolute.
each one is equally fun for me, so
No
however
doubt.
people wanna take it in, you know?
No doubt, no doubt. So what are you working on now that you're excited about? Whether it is something in the stand-up world, writing, or another project? I know I follow you on Substacks. I see you churning and working on stuff. Like
Yeah,
what's getting you excited now?
Um, I made this doc short that I'm premiering tomorrow, actually, of when we're recording it. It's called Being Buble. So
All right.
this woman approached me. You can see the trailer online. This woman approached me after a show, and she's like, "You must get this all the time. You look exactly like Michael Bublé."
That's hilarious.
And I didn't know. I thought, oh, maybe she wants to like make out with somebody who looks like Michael Bublé or something. So I was like,
Right.
oh, sure, I get that all the time. And I was like, and you find him attractive? And she's like, no. Uh, She's like,
True.
my mom does. She's like, so my husband and I have been trying to find a Bublé impersonator for his 60th birthday on Saturday.
My
We haven't
God.
been able to find one for less than 10 grand. And I was like, my rate is 9,950. That's a
That's right.
crazy. And she was like, you're kidding me. I was like, I'm kidding about that, but I would do it for 8 grand, you know? And so I wake up the next day to the DM. She's like, okay, we just want you to sing Feeling Good or lip sync and hang out for 30 minutes in character as Michael Bublé at like the
God.
super fancy 2 Michelin star restaurant in
What?
Midtown. And we'll give you this crazy amount of money. And I was like, I've never been more in with anything in my life.
Right.
And so anyway, I filmed the whole thing into a doc short of preparing for the gig and the gig itself. It's the most fun thing I've had because it's totally silly. It's like, and the
That
same
is
thing. It's
funny.
like there's stuff you could pop psychology from it, but ultimately
Right.
it's just a silly, fun
Yeah.
thing that was just so like, I don't know. The whole process was just joy. And so I
That's
loved
so
doing that.
funny.
So I'm showing that. So that'll have like a festival run and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I'm excited for that. And yeah, I'm developing these two like half-hour comedy shows. One's like a political thing, and one's like a mob type thing. And
Okay.
so just like comedy, you know, I like these different specific worlds. I'm
Right, right.
trying to have more money to make this coming of age feature next summer, adapted from
Stuff.
this short film I made. So,
Good
you know,
stuff.
just hopping around, just keep creating, I guess
Got
is
to.
the thing, and try to find new what are the things that keep us excited, you know? So
Yeah.
that's what I'm going for.
Absolutely. How do you see your work and your comedy evolving in the next few years? Like, are there, you talk about like a mob show and a politics show, which actually ain't that dissimilar nowadays, right? But like kind of working on the same
Right.
side.
Totally.
But how do you see your creativity continuing to evolve?
Think I mean, I think I'm just kind of like honing what I do better. You know, I would love to
Got you.
make shows and films and stuff that I like that sort of like, okay, character driven. I like jokes. I like these themes underneath it. And I
Mhm.
just kind of want to get better at that. And also I would love to reach more. I have no sort of thing of like I need to be, you know, the biggest star or whatever.
Got
I've
you.
always just wanted to work consistently and to have the resources to consistently create. Like those are the people who inspire me and the ones who
Got
are
you.
curious and keep pushing themselves and trying these new things to keep growing, you know? And so that's what I wanna do, and that's why even that the Buble thing, I was like, that was just fun because 'cause I'd never done that before.
Right.
I'd never filmed an unscripted thing, I'd never sort of, like, put myself in that kind of spot as a
Huh?
performer, you know? So it's like, how do you find these things that are exciting and then, like, run towards them and,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and not be afraid to try? And so that's what I would love to do with enough money to do it, you know?
Absolutely, man. Absolute. What do you think is a lesson that you've learned through both comedy and storytelling that sticks with you and you carry it into everything you're doing? Like a lesson you learned maybe early in your career, lately, and you're just like, this is gonna stay with me.
I mean, a couple of things. I think the biggest thing, so I teach, like, screenwriting also to undergrads, and so
Okay.
I tell them a lot of, like, you know, there's one writing rule. I'll get into a broader thing after, but there's one writing rule that people say. Sometimes they say, like, never write a thing unless you know the ending of it. And
Mm,
I kind of think that's nonsense. So
got you.
I tell them how much I disagree with that because I think just like we were talking about with the theme and the characters being right, I think you want to feel it out and see where it ends up. I guess what that the broader thing of that is just being open, like
Yeah.
being open to where the story could go, being open to where the joke could go, being open to
Hmm.
where your career could go, you know, and just like um going where the excitement is. It's because
No
it's
doubt.
all so hard. It needs to be stuff that is like the challenging thing is also the thing that's exciting to you. Because if it's
For
making you
real.
miserable, like well, you don't have to do it, you know? Like, especially in any creative path, it's like
Come on.
find that thing that is exciting to you because it's all so
Hmm.
much work. You need to have that kind of fuel behind it.
For
And that
sure.
goes into the biggest thing I've learned over and over again, which is like just like trusting your ideas. And the people who say no, in some ways, they're not necessarily right, you know? And so
Hmm.
you can avoid them. But sometimes it's like, okay, well, how do I make the thing stronger? How do I
Yeah.
continue to make it better and use those no's?
Hmm.
Because you get so many no's,
For real.
like all the time that I think like that's a thing that I see talented people get discouraged, but it's like it's going to be mostly rejections. So
Come on.
you need that. That's what I'm saying. The excitement of just like you need to continue to make it stronger, better. Like this stuff that I'm working on that's in really good places. 1,000 people have told me no on each of these things,
Come
and
on.
so then you just keep going with it and dig deeper, and then it's like if you believe in that thing, and so I guess that's what's fun is like oh I've seen that with Flatbush now, so I know like I can get it there, but you just have to stay with it and stay in it and find dig deeper to be like, okay, what is that thing that there's some cool like Baldwin quote I read recently that was like it was like behind butchering the most eloquent person ever,
Oh,
but
good.
he was like but so it was like underneath like everything is like the desire behind it. So
Hmm.
behind every table is like the effort and passion it took to make that table,
Of
like
course.
that kind of thing. So it's
Of
like
course.
all that to say, just like maintaining that fuel and excitement and curiosity, I think is like everything for your own stuff. And the people who are blindly discouraging, they're probably not even listening, you know.
Yeah,
So
for real though.
like it's okay, you know.
That's such an important point because I think about the sort of like inner voice and like the sort of opposition that's just only living in my head
Hmm.
that just discourages me so often. I'm just like, no one actually is rooting against you. You just have
Right.
these voices in your head from like maybe past trauma, but like this, those voices don't matter and aren't even real. They're in your head.
Yeah, and they're just thinking about their own.
That's it.
There's a great story I heard of Rodney Dangerfield,
Yes.
the Eddie Murphy one. Have you heard that?
No, no, no. What's that one?
Like, Eddie Murphy's a kid doing stand up, and Rodney Dangerfield, and Eddie Murphy's like, "Hey, can you watch my set?" And Rodney's like, "Yeah, sure, kid." And Eddie Murphy goes up, and then Rodney's like, well, "I don't know where you're gonna get with that act. It's filthy. It's not really. Yeah, it's
Wow.
not. I don't know. Best of luck, whatever." And then Eddie Murphy becomes Eddie Murphy, and then like 5, 10 years later, they're both in Vegas or something,
Uh-huh.
and Eddie Murphy's at the urinal, and
Yeah.
Rodney Dangerfield walks in to the urinal next to him and turns over to Eddie Murphy, and he's like, "Hey, who knew, huh?
What do I know? What do I know?
Who knew, huh?"
Oh, that's great. That is great. That is
And
great.
I'm just like, "Yeah, I don't know." He's
Yeah.
75. I was like, "What the f does he know?" You know?
Right,
It's
right, right.
all just like
It's like,
chaos, you know?
helped you best as I could, but, I'm glad you didn't
Yeah,
listen.
yeah.
That's amazing. So Dan, where can people keep up with your work, and what's the best way for fans to support what you're doing right now?
Yeah, just follow me on all the things, Instagram, TikTok at Dan J Perlman. I have my Substack. You can subscribe to that, all free. Yeah, those are the main things, and I'll just keep posting and let you know about shows that are important. And just like, yeah, if you like my stuff, if you want to see Flatbush, you just DM me. You get
Yeah,
the whole series, and
that's
just like
awesome.
keep sharing that stuff because I want that helps people find the next projects, and so I just want to
Right,
keep
right.
building organically with people who with what I'm doing, you know?
Yeah, that's so wise, man. So, lastly, if you could give some advice to aspiring comedians, writers who are listening or watching you right now, like what would you tell them?
I mean, really, just keep creating in any way, shape, or form, any way that you can with any limited resources, because that is going to be the thing that makes you better, you know? And whatever, and the way that looks now is very different than the way that looked even 10, 12 years ago when I was starting, you know? It's
Right,
like,
right.
with whatever vertical thing or TikTok or whatever that is, it's like
Hmm.
just continue to do that, because the more you do that, the more you get the bad stuff out of the way, and just keep going with it, and find that stuff that is like I was saying, like, is exciting to you, and
Hmm.
not, oh, I need to be doing. It's so easy to be like to see somebody doing a thing and like they're doing a man on the street video. I need to run out with a
Of
tiny
course.
with a tiny mic and use it and
Right,
stick it in people's face or whatever. But it's like
right.
you got to do this that is like that is interesting or exciting to you and
Yeah.
your thing, because it's like the people you see trying to get a grasp on the algorithm, it's like it's sand. It just slips through your hands
Come
right away.
on.
And
Right.
so you gotta find you do need to like use that, but also it has to be from some place that is like interesting and self-motivating for you, you
Yeah.
know?
Totally it, man. Totally it. Well, wise words, and I sincerely commend your work to anybody who's watching, listening. Brother, it's hilarious and brilliant, man. So thank you again for joining
Thanks
us
so
on Baddest
much, man.
Chaplain. No
I
doubt, no doubt.
appreciate you, man.
No, likewise, man. Likewise, for sure. And y'all, thank y'all so much for being here. As always, catch us on baddestchaplain.com. We're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, everywhere you get podcasts. Yeah, man. Till next time, y'all be safe out there. Talk to you
Yeah.
soon. Peace.